This article is a nonfiction article. Since it is a nonfiction article, I went ahead and labeled it NF for nonfiction, and I circled it up at the top so it could remind us that it is a nonfiction text. We know this is a nonfiction text because it is telling us a real story about real people. We know this is a real story and real people because we learned a little bit more about these women on Monday, and they made a book and they've made movies about their lives and all of the amazing things that they did for NASA. And the space program that we have would not be the same if it wasn't for these women. So it is telling us a real story. We are so close to being able to finally read our article, but before we do that, let's review some of the questions you will answer once we read the article. Let's take a look at some of the questions you will be answering. The first question you're going to be answering is, what is the article mainly about? Another question you'll be answering is, what is the section the women did important work for NASA mainly about? The third question you'll be answering is, what happened because of Katherine Johnson? And the last question is, why did Mary Jackson go to an all-white school? Let's take a mental picture. That way we can keep these questions in our minds as we are reading our passage or our article. As we read our article, we are going to chunk up our article into two sections. The first section is the first 4 paragraphs, and then we're going to break up our article into a second chunk where we have the heading, "The Women Did Important Work for NASA." This heading is letting us know that this is going to be about the women doing important work for NASA, so this sounds like a nice place to break up our text. After reading chunk 1, we're going to stop and gist, and then we'll read chunk 2 and stop and gist, and then write a gist for the entire article. Let's begin reading. 4 women who helped NASA plan trips to space are being awarded. 4 Black American women worked for NASA in the 1960s. They were mathematicians. NASA is the U.S. space agency. The women helped NASA plan trips to space. Now they will get an award. It is the Congressional Gold Medal. 2 of the women are still alive. They are Katherine Johnson and Christine Darden. Miss Johnson turned 101 in August. Miss Darden is 77. 2 have passed away. They are Dorothy Vaughan and Mary Jackson. They will still get the award. The women were some of the first Black mathematicians and engineers at NASA. Congress passed a bill to give the award. It was written by Senators Mark Warner and Tim Kaine. They are excited to honor the women. For too long, the women's work did not get enough respect. In 2016, a book was written about the women. It was called Hidden Figures. The book made the women famous. It was also made into a movie. Now that we've read that first chunk, let's stop and gist. Remember that when we stop and gist, we need to ask ourselves, what did we mostly learn about? We're not looking for little details. We want what we mostly learned about. Let's pause this video, and in your Google form, you will be able to write a gist for chunk 1 of our passage. Once you have written your gist for the chunk, please click on the next video so that we can continue reading our article.